Hey everyone, welcome back. Tonight we're going to talk about, are you a slave to your stockpile? And that might be an odd term to say, but that's what we're going to talk about. So stay tuned, grab that coffee, meet me back here at my dining room table. Okay, so I want to talk about being a slave to your stockpile. And my husband said something really cool the other night, and he said when you go into your pantry stockpile, into your food, do you go in going, let's grab and go, and we can pull together a meal and we've got stuff, or do you walk in and go, oh no, here we go? Because sometimes what happens is you become so overwhelmed and just overwrought with what is in your stockpile, maybe what's not in your stockpile. How do I use what's in my stockpile? So are you a slave to your stockpile? Here's the thing. You own that stockpile. You are the CEO of your stockpile. And I think sometimes what happens is it gets out of control. The stockpile gets out of control. It almost becomes this monster that we live with, and it's disorganized. It might be too much stuff in there. You might just not have it in a good place. There's all kinds of reasons why our stockpiles become overwhelming. And we become a slave to it, and it starts to control us. How does it control us? Well, I'll raise my hand. How many of us have had a stockpile that has been either disorganized or not set up the way it would work for us, and it becomes overwhelming to the point where it's like, let's just close the door and go order a pizza? Are you in love with your stockpile? I did not get a chance to comment or respond to all of your comments from last night's video, but I will tell you this. It was overwhelmingly satisfying for me to realize that people got what I said. They got it. I had people say, yeah, I am truly in love with my stockpile. Or I had people say, I am truly not in love with my stockpile. And so I also had people tell me they were very much overwhelmed. I had a few people email me and asking me for some tips and tricks and things. So I am going to ask you this. How can I help? I am not a professional stockpiler. My friend from New York City, Jan from New York City, saves money. Jan has given me many shout outs. Jan will talk about, oh, you have to watch At Home with Lynn Wilson, and she's a professional stockpiler. I'm not. But I seem to be able to connect with a lot of people on that this is really important. So let me know, how can I help you all? What can I do to help you create a better stockpile? I would love to know from you, what would you like me to talk about in terms of stockpile? Here's where I'm at. I moved my stockpile. We talked about this last night, and I moved it. You were literally in my home. And I would love for some of you all to hang out with me one night. It would be so much fun. We'd have a blast. But if we were sitting around chatting and you had questions and you'd say, I tell you right up front, I'm an everyday person. I like things very functional and very practical. Now, with that being said, I do like things pretty, and I like things organized and all the rest. When I show you my stockpile, and when I show you what I have, I am not in a position to have a walk-in pantry that looks beautiful. I have a pantry that I moved from point A to point B, and then how to tweak it from there. It is extremely practical. It's extremely functional. It is not beautiful. It is not an image you would find on Pinterest. It would be grandma's kitchen, practical and functional. But I have learned that that works for me. I am no longer a slave to my stockpile and needing the perfect closet to put it in. I'm no longer a slave to my stockpile and needing to have a multitude of bounty in my stockpile to finally look in it and realize that I don't eat half that food. I didn't even want half that food, but they tell you to stockpile. So I need to stockpile and buy all this stuff. So I have a stockpile, and now I'm sitting here and I feel like a slave to it because it has now taken over an area of my home, and it's wasted space. I've wasted money on it. I've wasted time on it, and it's making me waste money because I don't use it, and I end up going out to eat or do other things because it's too overwhelming. Is this making sense? I don't know. I'm trying to pull all this together. In other words, get it right. Get it right for you. Don't allow your stockpile to just be this pretty thing in the corner of your kitchen that you can look and gaze at. It needs to be functional and practical. Eating is something we do, most of us, 3 times a day. Maybe a little less, maybe a little more. Bottom line is we all have to eat. You know, there's a meal somewhere during your day that needs to be prepared in your home. And if you have a family, you got more people you're trying to feed. So you need to get it together and find a way to make it work. Your location needs to work. What you store in it needs to work. How often you shop for it needs to work. Also needs to work with your budget. You cannot fill a stockpile and spend $5,000 and say, I'm going to stockpile for the next year and I'm going to spend all this money and I'm going to have this beautiful stockpile and it's going to be filled and I'm going to have a full pantry. That's great if you have $5,000 laying around and you have nothing else to do with it. You need to make your stockpile work for you. You remember, you own it. It's your money you're investing into it. It's your time. It's your talents. It's a little bit of your personality. It's the location. Everything that your stockpile encompasses is part of your life. And you need to say, you know what, Lynn, have a little chat with yourself. Lynn, we're going to sit down over a cup of coffee and we're going to discuss and write down the pros and cons of the location, what I have in it, how I use it, when I use it, all of those things. And, you know, find out the frustrations too. If you have more than one family member in your house outside of yourself, find out from them too. If they are utilizing that stockpile, what is the problem? Don't be a slave to your stockpile. You own it. You created it. It's in your home. Make it work for you. And we will catch you next week on some up and coming helpful hints on just getting food in your home, how to use it, just some practical, basic 101 tips. But let me know if there's a way I can help you. Just share an experience maybe that I did, or I don't know. What are your questions about stockpiling? What are your questions about food shopping, menu planning? How can I help you? I'm here to share with you all. I'm here. I'm not a professional, but I've done quite a bit in my lifetime, and I've done a lot of things where I've made mistakes and learned, and I've done a lot of things that have worked well for me. So if I can help you in any way, feel free to email me. If it's private, my email is in the description below. And if you want to put it out there on the thread of comments, let's all join in and help each other out. We'll catch you all on the next video.